Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Africa Today, where we get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene. And we will start off with our major top stories. The EU's foreign policy chief, Giuseppe Borrell, echoed the warning by several EU member states that an Israeli occupation offensive on Rafah would lead to an unspeakable humanitarian catastrophe and grave tensions for Egypt. Gaza's Hamas rulers warned on Saturday that the Israeli army's planned operation in overcrowded Rafah could cause tens of thousands of casualties in the city, the last refuge for displaced Palestinians. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the occupation army to set its sights on Rafah. Hamas said in a statement that any military action would have catastrophic repercussions that may lead to tens of thousands of martyrs and injured if Rafah is invaded. Netanyahu's announcement coming after U.S. President Joe Biden had issued its strongest criticism of the Israeli response to the October 7 attacks, sparked concern among world leaders and the United Nations. And to shed more light on this topic, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Ahmed Osama, member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, how would you comment on the latest Israeli occupation announcement of an imminent assault on Rafah?
Israel is now starting a new operations in Gaza, which is in Rafah, and it's very dangerous to bring more catastrophe in the land of Palestine after what happened in Gaza and Khan Yunis and most of the Palestinian villages. And now we have a very dangerous to bring more catastrophe in the Palestinian land, and it will bring more victims and we are aiming for forcing displacement for the Palestinians to leave their land. And we are looking for the international community and all of the world to try to, and especially the United States, to stop this and to try to have the responsibility in advising Israel, and that will not lead for a better situation, but it will be a more catastrophe and a worse situation.
Right. Well, sir, the EU's foreign policy chief, Giuseppe Borrell, said that such an Israeli move on Rafah would lead to an unspeakable humanitarian catastrophe and grave tensions with Egypt. How would such an aggression impact the humanitarian situation?
Surely, as we see the people in Rafah, the Palestinian Rafah, on the border of Egypt, and now Egypt is covering the Egyptian borders with more military forces to avoid any kind of tensions from the side of Israel. And this attack, this will affect the Israeli-Egyptian relations, which was in the near far before the 7th October, and this situation, the relationship between Israel and Egypt was on the top between the authorities in both sides, and there are many kind of cooperation in fighting terrorism. But in this way, they are forcing Rafah for more people. We have more than 1 million people are dying with for hungry. They stopped the aids of the United Nations and UNRWA and the Egyptian support and humanitarian aid to Gaza and Rafah regarding the shooting of the Israeli, and they are not stopped right now. So this is very dangerous what's going on, and they are not listening for any advice for stopping this aggression and trying to make peace and to find a solution, diplomatic solution with Hamas, which as Egypt is playing a very important role and crucial diplomatic with Qatar, with Hamas, to trying to find a deal with them. The United States sends the director of the CIA to the district. He met with the Egyptian and the Qatar and the Israeli and many of the counterparts to try to find a way for a release for the hostage in both sides. But till now, Israel is still refusing any kind of deals.
Great. Well, sir, how would such a move impact Egypt, in your opinion?
Egypt is in a very critical side. Egypt already is in having a lot of burden on the country, and at the same time, they put Egypt in a critical position as they want the Palestinians to be immigrants and to be displaced and move them to Egypt in Sinai and Rafah, the Egyptian Rafah and Sinai, with a lot of pressure from the international community and the EU and the World Bank and the United States, with offering more financial support as Egypt is in a critical situation now due to the inflation worldwide, and there are many and IMF trying to offer Egypt support, and at the same time trying to force on Egypt to accept the Palestinians. But the situation here, Egypt, we have millions of, I will not say refugees, as our president always saying, we have guests in Egypt and they are living like the Egyptians with all of respect. But the situation here is different because they want the Palestinians to leave their lands again, like what happened in the past in the 1948. So the situation here is it's not about refugees or about humanitarian support. Egypt now is welcoming everybody to be to have the medical help and medical service in Egypt. But this situation is very critical because it means that they are dissolving the Palestinian cause, and there are no place named Palestine on the geopolitical geographic map.
Right. Dr. Osama, how do you expect the international community to react to such a move?
The international community, we are just listening for a lot of announcements from the United Nations for criticizing what's going on, the war upon Gaza and Rafah and Khan Yunis. But actually, it's a very weak position from the international community, which must play a more role based on the responsibility to try well to stop what's going on the ground. Even with the Lahai ICC court, they just gave it more 1 month, and during this one more month, we will have hundreds of people are killed every day.
Yeah.
So we need the international community to build their responsibility and the credibility of having the UNIFIL, the Security Council, the EU, the NATO,
The international
the United
organizations.
States itself
Yeah.
to try to make more pressure on Israel to stop that.
Exactly. We need a more positive stance from the international community. Hamas said in a statement that any military action would have catastrophic repercussions that may lead to tens of thousands of martyrs and injured if Rafah is invaded. Now, how is it that the international community is unable to stop the bloodshed in Gaza?
That's the reality of what's going on and happening on the ground. Palestine has no army. Palestine is a peaceful people. Now we have these kind of groups trying to defend their country. We cannot say that it is a terrorist. In the same way, let us see the overreacting of the Israeli after the 7th of October, overreacting to make all of these genocides everywhere and bombing the UNRWA places for the refugees after even displacement them from their places of Gaza. As using them that they are leave Gaza just to attack Hamas there, and now they are talking about all of the Palestinians are Hamas and everybody over there is a target. So the situation is very complicated, and it needs a serious, tangible actions on the ground from the international community to stop that. The Egyptian president and foreign affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Egyptian intelligence are trying hardly with their counterparts everywhere to encourage them to stop what's going on. And now after Rafah, okay, so what's next? There are no Palestine on the ground.
Right.
It's just the few places since the occupation of Palestine. This is the small area.
Yeah.
They are not even want to allow them to live with them in peace in the ground, on the ground there.
Yes, sir. How would you read the Israeli continued rejection to deals leading to the exchange of hostages?
Many of trials between many mediators from Egypt, the United States, Qatar, trying hardly to find out a kind of understanding and to stop this main reason of what's going around. And but the Israeli side is refusing till now, and their cause is too much, like to let them go out of Palestine, all of them, the leaders of Hamas, and not all of them actually in Palestine. The most of them is not in the place. The leaders, I mean, but who is paying the penalty and the revenge and the results of the mistakes happened from both sides, because the leaders must be aware that if we need to build for two states, the role of two states. Today I read a report about the Minister of Defense of Israel. He is sending to the Saudi Arabia Kingdom, if you don't want to make normalization with Israel regarding that you need Israel to approve the two-state solution and to have Palestine, so we are not in need for your normalization. So this kind of arrogance of power is bringing more complicated situation, while all of the announcements that the United States, every international community are looking for, don't extend the war for more places in the Middle East. While in the same time, we are finding many of attacks on Lebanon and many other parts.
Well, I would like to thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed Osama, member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Many thanks for your insight. And dear viewers, we move back to our special reports. The UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs called for $2.7 billion address the urgent needs within Sudan. However, the appeal remains drastically underfunded at just 4%.